Hello and welcome into the IDP Guys Start Sit Show for Week 5. How is everyone doing today? My name is Michael Sicoli, joined as usual by co-owner Ricky Rodrigue and writer Sean Teague. How is everyone doing today? Ricky, how are you? You're looking a little bit extra excited for Week 5 football.
I am actually extra excited, particularly after had great week 2, great week 3. My team struggled in week 4, and it's like so I'm due for positive regression this week. So when I'm watching 7 hours of commercial-free football, I'm feeling good for some wins this week.
Undefeated run coming here for Ricky Rodrigue on Week 5 takes. So Sean and I are going to have our difficulties cut out for us because we have to disagree with Ricky on half of our takes. So Sean, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I don't know if we're up to the challenge this week. Ricky's looking like he's on fire right now, so
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, guys.
he's radiating energy, guys. It's
Special level of
manifesting
energy.
points.
Listen, that's the energy we know and love and are always looking for. And likewise, other things we're looking for this week, obviously, is some fantasy points. And we're here to help you guys find them with Start Sit Decisions. So throughout this entire call, we're going to be going for an hour until 12 p.m. EST. Drop in those questions in the chat. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. So far this year, we've gone to every single one. So keep on asking away, offense or defense. We're here to help. So happy to do that. But before we jump into all of the questions you guys got to win your Week 5 matchup, I want to ask you guys a question first, Ricky and Sean. Ricky, I'll start with you. Which player have you has your opinion changed the most on since the summer, when we all knew exactly what was going to happen, and then Week 1 showed us otherwise?
That's a great question, Michael. I'm going to go with a couple of guys at the linebacker position. Both Bobby Wagner and C.J. Mosley, both now into their early 30s. The projection models that we had at IDP Guys in terms of projecting for the season had projected both of them down, tied to their age. And right now, while they're particularly Wagner's plays getting fantasy points, not necessarily playing as well from a pure defensive scheme standpoint, but he's getting fantasy points. So both of those two, I would say, have surprised me. I expected a little bit more of a fall off, but they're both top 10 type linebackers right now.
Studs are gonna be studs. Age, time won't slow them down. Tom Brady's not the only one that can beat the undefeatable Time Lord that it is. Sean, what about you? Who has surprised you or changed your opinion the most over the first quarter of the season?
So I'll also take two. One being Shaquille Leonard for just how bad he's looked. I was really expecting him to kind of come back fired up and really pick up where he left off from. And we've seen his playing time get cut each week, and just when he's on the field, he looks like he's lost it more or less. I hate to see it. He was such a stud when he first busted onto the scene as a rookie and all. And I hate seeing a guy get old on the field like that. Still, this young, but he has surprised me the most. And then Jesse Bates, I was not expecting him to pick up his, big Pro Bowl level that he's been doing down in Atlanta. That's I thought he had kind of lost a little bit too. And plus, the volatility of just safeties in general, that it's kind of hard to predict anyway. But just the role he's had and the start he's had to this season, he's been on fire. Did not see it coming.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer because Jesse Bates has arguably been the biggest surprise of this season of what he's been able to do over the first 4 weeks. He's been absolutely terrific and certainly has the ceiling we all want from our IDP pieces. I'm going to stay with Steeler Nation over here, but I'm also going to stay with Steeler Nation of the fact of disappointments over here. Cole Holcomb, my goodness, listen, I think he has a bounce back week this week. I think he actually plays fairly well against the Ravens. Great matchup. But on the whole, this has been such a colossally disappointing season for Cole Holcomb, who still is getting a majority of snaps and is just not carrying that efficiency with him like we saw in Washington. So I've been emotionally a little bit crushed. I see him on the wire, and I feel like I should be picking him up, but more often than not, he's just there to hurt me, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers have done all year long. Painful indeed. But we got plenty of questions rolling into the chat. And again, reminder, be sure to drop all those questions in for the hour we're going live. And I believe I found out last week, I believe that Twitter no longer lets you drop comments in that we can see unless you're Twitter blue. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a new thing that Elon's put in. So we're only getting questions right now from YouTube. So be sure to drop in those questions from YouTube so we can see them all, just like Only Jock in the Village here, who, morning from London. He dropped this one in at 5:30 a.m. our time at EST. But he's got Bills Jags to watch this morning, which is good for him. So to business, he will say. Scoring is 1.5 and half a tackle for solo to assist, and 5 points per sack in INTs. He has Roquan Smith and Quay Walker. Should he bench either and start Ernest Jones, Quincy Williams, or Denzel Perriman? First game back for Denzel Perriman after his injury. Really strong groups of names here. Strong names here. Not going to go wrong with many of them. But Ricky, which two would you pick? I guess
I would stick with Roquan and Quay. If I had to pick a third one, it would be Quincy Williams, who's been a top 10 linebacker in most scoring systems. But stick with the studs. Stick with those two with the green dots. Stick with Roquan and Quay.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I don't think I would drop either one of those guys. Quincy's had a great season so far. Ernest Jones hasn't been bad either. I'm a little leery of Perryman first game back, and there's a hand injury, right? Wrist or something like that.
I will fact check that for you, but I agree with you. That's pretty firmly, even in a great matchup against Atlanta, that's pretty firmly the last name of the list for me.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Houston has been, changing up the linebackers a little bit. It's Cashman, it's Toto, it's Harris, it's Perryman earlier. Not only would I want to wait and see him come back, but I want to see how Houston plays out this linebacker core.
I think that's a great point. It's something I'm firmly expecting a lot of questions on today, and if we don't get them, maybe I'll bring it up my own. Is the return of Denzel Perriman, right? We've seen Henry Toto take a major step forward, and then Christian Harris take a jump in snaps last week. I somewhat expect Perriman to be returning to his 100% role and then relegating Christian Harris to nothing. But anything can really happen with this Texan squad. I wouldn't be surprised. Sean, I don't know if you ever chose your two officially.
Yeah, Roquan and Quay. Yeah, I'm sticking with those guys.
Man, I do really want to play Ernest Jones, especially in this matchup against the Eagles. It is really tempting. I just can't imagine cutting. Roquan's a lock for me. I'm never going to cut him, and I really can't imagine cutting Quay Walker right now, just with the ceiling he's shown. I'll ride Quay Walker for a week and then cut him on his bye week with this many good options that you have available, possibly. So that's the luxury that you got, though. At least is you don't have to worry about bye weeks as much because you got great options on the wire. So yeah, we're gonna go through. Next question here from Joheem would you guys start Andrew Van Ginkel, who's been incredibly productive on the edge, over DeForest Buckner? So I believe Jalen Phillips is going to play, is the last update I saw, and the return of Jalen Phillips certainly changes the role for Van Ginkel. So, Sean, I'll start with you this time. Does that potential return of Jalen Phillips make you lean towards DeForest Buckner?
This is actually really tough because we have seen when Phillips is back, Van Ginkel loses snaps, and the two games he has sacks in were the games that Phillips was out. Yeah. But he has a fantastic matchup, even as a role player, against the Giants. DeForest Buckner was injured last week, barely practiced, if any, and I think he only played like 20% of the snaps. So
he did not practice this week either. He is expected to play, but he did not log a single practice.
So that's why I would still might lean Van Ginkel here, because Buckner didn't play a whole lot last weekend with the injury. So I'm a little scared of that, and I really like this matchup against the Giants. So I think I would go Van Ginkel here.
I hear you. What about you, Ricky?
I'm going Van Ginkel as well. Buckner didn't finish the game out last week with that back injury. He was limited, is questionable to the point brought up earlier. Even if Phillips is back, I expect him to just dominate and destroy the Giants. With that, Phillips dealing with that injury, he's probably not going to play a whole lot. So you can see Van Ginkel getting those snaps, particularly later in the game. I'm guessing the Dolphins only get 8 sacks against the Giants as opposed to the 11 the Seahawks got. I think Van Ginkel will get one of those. And
Conservative estimates here by Ricky Rodriguez.
exactly. Yeah, take that to the bank. Y'all can go to Vegas, place that bet now. 8 sacks for the Dolphins today, and Van Ginkel will get one of them.
Yeah, that and this is going to be one of those. That's really
Yeah.
This offensive line is so bad and unwatchable, but this is going to be one of those rare question marks that I would love to know if you have any other options other than Ginkel, because yes, great matchup. Yes, can totally get the sack, but I do not love him with Jalen Phillips return to the lineup. So I wonder if there is a better under the radar option out there. Maybe Nate Landman's still out there if we're talking about a flex, or something like that. But yeah, I'm on board with you guys that I'm going to pass on Buckner this week, despite Tennessee hasn't allowed a lot of points to the defensive tackle, despite it being a very run heavy team, and factoring the injury situation we've all talked about. I'm definitely willing to pass away on that. And we have another Van Ginkel question right here. Van Ginkel or Jalen Phillips? Or would you stay away entirely and play, I'm guessing that's Jonathan Cooper, George Karlaftis, or Mike Dana? Question in from Will Power, one of our favorite listeners. We love you, Will. Hope you're doing well. Ricky, where are you going here? You got to pick, I guess, one edge rusher of all the names here.
I would actually go with Jonathan Cooper in this scenario. Sort of similar to your point earlier. While I would take Van Ginkel over Buckner, there is some questions in all seriousness. And Cooper full-time role. Randy Gregory's no longer there. They've traded him to the 49ers, and so I just like the Cooper matchup here as well. So I'd run with Cooper on this one.
Interesting, Sean. What about you?
Yeah, Cooper's got a hot hand. I was leaning the same way. With Ginkel and Phillips eating into each other, and I'm still concerned about Phillips' overall health. That's something that seems to be re-injuring. So I think he'll be limited. They're gonna, eat into each other. I like Cooper. He's been hot.
Gentlemen,
That's your trash.
I know you're going to disagree probably, but let me just add one other point. I don't know if the Jets' offensive line has become a top 5 offensive line in the past 5 days or so. So I still like Cooper's odds on that one.
Now, I will say the team I know hasn't turned into a top 5 offensive line is the one you just said is going to allow 8 sacks today at least, and I'm going to go Jalen Phillips. Listen, Van Ginkel, I'm not going to play with Phillips healthy like I talked about before. I'm a little bit worried about that role, but I have no doubts about Jalen Phillips' talent. I really don't. He was limited this week in practice after sitting out last week, so I'm firmly expecting him to be out there. And I think he'll get it done on a short amount of snaps. I'm fine playing Cooper either as well. I think he's a lot safer. But I love Jalen Phillips before the season, and when he's out there in a plus matchup, I find it hard for me to pass on him. But too strong.
In all seriousness, did you see Phillips being quoted as saying his oblique is still hurting and he's still not 100% even if he plays?
I didn't see that.
Just thought I'd mention that for Will Power there.
Yeah, was that thrown in the chat? Let's see.
No. It was tied to Will's question.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, I am seeing some reports right now. We have a video that came out a minute ago of him going through warm-ups right now. But also reports yesterday of people not being sure about whether he's going to suit up. So, you know what? With that information, I'm going to switch to Cooper as well and agree with you, Trio. It's just when I have 2 options that are similar in that regard, I'll go with the guy that at least I know is going to be out there. And talking about people who are going to be out there and in the show, a return to greatness of Grant Gilliland. Yes. Welcome into the stream, Grant.
Ooh, I can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh, and we can't hear him. So we're going to move on to another in the meantime.
The greatest intro ever.
Amazing intro. Listen, we are seamless here on the IDP Guys Start this show. We got another question from Will Power. We'll jump in as Grant works through his headphones. Amani Hooker or Julian Blackman, Cam Bynum, Kavon Wallace, Von Bell, Brandon Stevens, or Isaiah. Sorry, that's what the hell? Trent McDuffie, I assume. I was thinking Isaiah for a second, but good options here all around. But I see a name here that stands out to me. As much as I love Amani Hooker, it's not Amani Hooker. So, Sean, what about you?
I'm going with Cam Byron.
That's what stands out to me.
Been on fire. has got such a high tackle floor. I'm sticking with the high end until he can prove he sucks. I'm starting him.
I don't know if he's going to. I don't know if he's going to prove that he sucks. I think he's pretty damn good for this. But
Yeah.
Ricky, what about you?
I'm with you. I'm with you both on Cam Bynum as well. And this Kansas City Minnesota game could be really interesting. Could be high scoring. Could be a lot more plays than your typical 66 plays per team, roughly. I see a lot of up and down, and Bynum's going to be on the field a lot too. So I'm going with Bynum on this one.
Yeah, I like a lot of these names, honestly, this week. I like Amani Hooker this week. I like Avon Wallace. I like Brandon Stevens and Von Bell and Bynum. I like all these guys. But I have to go with Bynum. He's just put together such a complete piece of work over the last 4 weeks of the season. On paper, this KC matchup isn't good, and I think that's largely because KC's really struggled to push it downfield. Because all their receivers are absolutely atrocious. But in the meantime, Cam Bynum has proven that he can establish a very good tackle floor. So I'm going to ride with that hot hand. Grant, can you hear us now? Are you hearing us well?
I got you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear that amazing voice of yours. This is amazing. This feels
I'm glad
good.
to be back. It only took 5 weeks.
Hey, listen. Some people say the first quarter of the season doesn't matter because we're just learning things. So we're gonna keep on going strong. And good morning to you, Axton, my favorite waiver wire duo pal that I got there. Another question from Will Power: Breece Hall or Puka Nacua in half PPR? Two amazing options. Breece Hall apparently having the snap count lifted this week in a juicy matchup against a Denver unit that allows over 170 rushing yards a game. And Puka Nacua, the Offensive Rookie of the Year frontrunner, who gets Cooper Kupp returning next to him to potentially help or hurt his target share. So, yeah, tough one all around here. And no one to go to first but Grant because we got it.
I do want to ask, did we know Breece Hall had a snap count? Because at the beginning of the season...
Yes.
Robert Saleh said this week saying that the snap, like he used the word snap count. And he won't have any restrictions going forward or anything.
But at the beginning of the season, it didn't seem like it. Remember, he came out and
listen. We have heard many a lie with snap.
I get it. It's going to be interesting to see what Puka Nacua is going to do with Cooper Kupp because they are essentially the same wide receiver. I honestly think that's going to be cutting into Puka's targets. So it's tough to say, but I think I'm going to go with Breece Hall here with that snap count officially lifted.
I am so scarred from last week of Zeke is going to be the ball carrier of the New England Patriots. And 2 weeks ago of something else happening that was similar like this, of reports going strange. But I am drinking the Kool-Aid on both these guys. But before I say mine, I want to hear Sean because I think he's chomping at the bit to give his side here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Breece Hall's the play here. Puka Nacua with Cooper Kupp maybe coming back. It's, I'm afraid he's going to lose a lot of the targets. I really do. I think Breece Hall has a really good day today as well. I think he goes off finally.
Ricky.
Well, the Jets have not become a top 5 offensive line as we established earlier. However, they're playing the Denver Broncos defense. Okay. Now, I don't expect the Jets to exactly put up 70 points, but Zach Wilson started showing signs of life. I can see the Jets getting out to a lead. And by the way, I think this is a sneaky high-scoring game. I actually would play Breece Hall in this one over Nacua, given some of the comments earlier. But don't, just as a little surprise note, watch Dalvin Cook get into the end zone as well today.
Oh, for God's sake, no! Please don't. Let's not will that into existence after everyone's cut him on the waiver wire. But I'm gonna make it unanimous, and I'm gonna go Breece Hall. That's not. I want to emphasize this with everything in my heart. I firmly believe Puka Nacua is going to be a top 15 receiver this week. I think he's going to be fantastic this week. I don't think Cooper Kupp eats into his role. I think he's just that good of a talent. He has 1 touchdown in the last 4 weeks because I think Cooper Kupp hasn't been there. The offense stays on the field, leading the league in pass attempts. Potential shootout against Philadelphia. I love Puka this week.
So, Mike, what do you think moving forward?
Moving forward, I think they're both going to be very reliable. The Rams are leading the league in passing attempts. We've seen Stafford support 2 receivers before. And I think Kyron Williams is done. So I think that we're going to see a pretty pass-happy approach here. And Puka Nacua is very clearly the Robin to Cooper Kupp's Batman. So I'm all in with that. But half PPR, I'll go Brees Hall, just favoring the running back. Full PPR, I would go Puka. Question here from Axton. A JT question, which we probably will get a lot of today, with JT being activated off the injured reserve in his first game of the season coming up here after his 3-year extension. Happy for him. Jonathan Taylor or Ramondre Stevenson. So Jonathan Taylor against the run-stuffing Tennessee Titans, or Ramondre Stevenson against the run-stuffing New Orleans Saints. Axton may think that he wants to wait for JT to ease himself in. We've seen some reports to suggest that will be the case. But Sean, pick your fighter here. Which one are you going with?
Give me Ramondre this week. Since I do think JT will be a little rusty. He hasn't played in quite some time, and that massive injury that kept him out to start the season, could slow him down. So, yeah, both these have tough matchups, but I do like Stevenson better.
Ricky, you going to pick against your Saints?
I'm going to agree and say that Sean is right. We're going to go with Ramondre. Sean, I know you were shocked that I agree with you.
I forgot my pen. I was going to write this down.
Yeah. So, by the way, I am keeping a few notes for next week, guys. But oh no. So, look, a couple of reasons. One is JT. Did he practice? I mean, what did he do during training camp? Nothing.
Not much. Sat himself out, did his own thing.
What has he done the last 4 weeks or so? I'm sure he's working out, but I don't think he's in football shape. And the other thing too is they're not quite as desperate as if it was Deion Jackson and Jake Funk still there. Zach Moss has been playing fairly well, and with Tennessee's defense as well. I just don't see them pushing and forcing the JT today. I'd rather gamble with Ramondre against the Saints on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to add on to that. Richardson will take runs away from him as well, and he could be vulturing some TDs down there on the line. So I'm going Ramondre.
Yeah, I'll go with Stevenson as well. I think JT will be involved from the get-go, but I do agree. We've seen a lot of guys come off big weights like this and just have a slower start, 2-3 weeks to fully get going. And against a Titans unit that has shut down everybody that's come their way, I'm willing to go with potentially what I think is a higher receiving floor with Stevenson, who I think will catch more passes than Jonathan Taylor this week. So we also have some breaking news coming in here right now. Big news that everyone should be adjusting to. Chris Olave may have picked up a pregame ankle injury, and he is currently stumbling around on pregame warmups and may or may not be an issue for the 1 o'clock kickoff. So fortunately, it's a 1 o'clock game, so we'll be able to make the adjustments and ask the questions in this chat as you guys need if you are facing that dilemma all of a sudden. But Chris Olave may not be going today at the last minute. So big news there, something to keep an eye on. He could be, or at least be at half health, but something to look out for.
I think he almost chased Grant off the set. I think he threw up on the side there when he heard that news. He was so
He's
disappointed.
throwing up. I can only imagine what you're doing.
My Scott Fishbowl is killing me right now.
I'm currently slated for a very tough loss in Scott Fishbowl after facing DJ Moore on Thursday night, which is catastrophic. Currently
I
ranked
played DJ Moore and Logan Thomas. The guy had against me.
Listen, man, Logan Thomas. Did you know he was a quarterback once upon a time? You know, that was good old days. But question from Brian Williams. He needs 2 of 3 in full PPR. Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith. Good problems to have here for Brian Williams. I have no issues with Cooper Kupp being I think he's fully healthy. Everything I've seen has suggested he'll get a full role, and I'm playing him. So that's a lock for me, and it's a tough toss-up between the other two. So you guys can disagree, of course. But Grant, which is the 2 of 3 for you?
Oh, man. So I have Waddle, and he's been killing me. Not the typical Waddle we've seen of last year. So, and Devonta Smith, I think I'm still going to stick with Waddle. He's bound to have a game in that offense. It's so explosive. So I think I'm going Waddle here.
What about you, Sean? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's our answer right there for anyone
Yeah,
watching
I'm
along.
completely biased too, so
So Waddle and Cup are your answer?
yeah, I'm with Grant. I think Waddle finally does have a good game. He has been slow this season, and it has been frustrating. But if he's going to have a good game, now's the time.
And Ricky. Oh no. Oh God.
Yeah, he's taking Cup out. I see it.
No, actually, I am going to run with Cup. I was actually just doing a couple of quick checks, and what they're saying is that they expect Cup to get a normal workload.
Yeah.
So going with that, in AJ Brown has just been dominating the past couple of weeks. I just see an attempt this week by the Rams to take him out. So I think this is the week it flips back to like earlier in the year. So give me Cup and Devontae Smith instead of Waddle.
Well, as usual, I'm going to pick against Ricky here, and I'm going to side with Sean.
Shocking.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cup and Waddle here. I'm of the mind. I'm chasing the matchup here. It's what I do when I have similar tiered players. Cooper Cup's a lock for me, as I said. Jalen Waddle against the Giants is too tantalizing to pass up, especially with the Dolphins looking to make somewhat of a statement after last week's blunder. So I think we're going to see that monster beat from Waddle. I think he's an interesting DFS play even, but it's interesting because both those guys have similar but different circumstances of good offense, good quarterback play, but an alpha is kind of making it a little bit up and down for that number two between Smith and Jalen Waddle. But
yeah, this is a major Tyreek Hill week, guys.
Oh, it probably will be. It'll probably be 5 touchdowns for Tyreek and on
800 yards.
Yeah, 800 yards per catch. Question from Angie Hatfield. Good morning. Good morning to you, too. Angie needs 2 of Jalen Phillips, Hassan Reddick, and George Karlaftis, arguably the 3 most disappointing defensive linemen of breakouts this year, or not Reddick as a breakout, but still. Pick 2 of this very scary to trust trio that have all provided. I believe everyone's provided a goose egg of this group at some point of the year. Maybe not Phillips, but either way, Grant, pick your champions here. Pick 2.
Man, can I just reach into a hat real quick?
Yes. Yes, you're allowed to reach into a hat for this one.
Oh, man. So looking at our rankings here, I'm not starting Karloffit. We have him in the 49th spot. We have Phillips, I believe. Which Phillips was this?
This is Jalen Phillips.
Jalen. So we had Jalen as a top 10 DL in our weekly rankings. So I feel safe with him. And then obviously that leaves Reddick as my second.
All right. Ricky, what about you?
I'm going to go with Phillips and Reddick on this one. Despite I know we talked earlier about the Phillips injury and so forth. I just have zippo confidence in Karlaftis right now, or Karlaftis. And Reddick, people forgot about the fact that Reddick had hurt his hand, wrist, whatever it was in the preseason and all, and we started seeing flashes late in the game last week and all. I think getting the hand back and all and getting that healthier again, I'm expecting Reddick to turn things on as this year progresses, and so. It's more about I'm against Karlaftis than for the other 2, given the injury and what I just described with Reddick so far this year. But it's Phillips and Reddick for me.
Yeah, Reddick started the first 3 weeks of the season with that club on his hand. Got off last week and got his first sack of the season, although that's really all he provided. So definitely a little bit up in the air. I agree with you for the record. I'm going to go to Sean here. I'm also going to play Phillips and Reddick, but do we get it unanimous here with Sean?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. And again, it's more about not believing in Karlaftis than it does really believing in Reddick on this one.
Yeah, tough matchup for George Karlaftis as well, which makes it a little bit easier to fade. Remember, everybody, keep on dropping in those questions. Again, if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, unfortunately, those questions aren't coming through, which I believe is a change to the UI or something. But if you comment on our YouTube page, where, in the comments underneath this video, we are seeing all those comments. We're going to get to as many as we can. So, Will Power, adding on to his Jalen Phillips question from earlier. Yep, desolate wasteland on defensive lineman indeed. Would you play any over who you mentioned before, which I believe we chose Jonathan Cooper of that question. So would you play any of these names over Jonathan Cooper? That's Leonard Williams, Carl Granderson, Harrison Phillips, Derek Brown. I forget Greenard's Jonathan Greenard and David Onyemata and Danico Autry. Yep, definitely puke emoji type of situation here. Carl Granderson, Harrison Phillips being the two names that stand out to me here. But would you guys play any of these names over Jonathan Cooper, Sean?
Over Jonathan Cooper. Ooh, I don't think so. But I do like Autry. He's been fantastic, and he usually plays really well against the Colts. But no, I think I would stick with Cooper here.
Ricky.
I'm sticking with Cooper as well. There are some interesting names. I do like Autry, and I actually like Derek Brown a little bit too. But no, I'm sticking with Jonathan Cooper on this one.
Grant.
See, I'm going Autry here. We have him ranked as a 21 defensive lineman. He's playing the Colts. They will be running the ball, and I think he gets a couple of those tackles. May not get you the points you need, but I think he's a better option in my opinion.
See, it's interesting because I'm also going to stay with Cooper. That's where I'm going to lean here. But the name that stands out to me is Carl Granderson. Yeah, he's been crap for the last 2 weeks, but talk about a get-right matchup with the Patriots and what the pressure they've been able to generate against or the pressure that Mac Jones has been facing the last few weeks has really been something. So I don't mind playing Carl Granderson, but I'll stick with Jonathan Cooper for all the million reasons of that Ricky eloquently laid out before about the Jets offensive line. They are not indeed a top 5 unit since last week. So question from Mark LeBlanc. Is Nick Bolton worth starting this week? He's been out for a couple now. Would you play him over Dre Greenlaw? I would. Yes. Yes would be my answer, and strongly yes. I think Bolton is still a star, but he just has been out the last few weeks, and the Chiefs have sorely missed him. Any disagreements here? I'll ask it like that. Grant agrees. Sean agrees. Ricky, a little half smirk? I don't know.
Yeah, Ricky's still thinking about this one.
Oh, boy. No longer the auto start in Ricky's eyes.
So Tranquil has performed fairly well in Bolton's absence. Bolton was coming back from an injury, still not 100%. Spagnuolo in the past used to rotate linebackers. Does he ease Bolton back in with a partial game, rotating with Tranquil? Given all that, I'm going to play Bolton. Still over Greenlaw.
Come on.
Swerve at the end. Got me.
But I just wanted to give Mark food for thought. So.
Yeah. No, it's definitely good. And I think Spagnuolo's history of rotating linebackers is why I was a little bit hesitant to pay. I mean, a million reasons, but hesitant why I was able to paying top dollar for Nick Bolton this year. But I'm still going to play him against Minnesota pretty confidently. And again, more update on Chris Olave looking gimpy right now in the quote of the tweet I just got. So anyone with Chris Olave, be sure to monitor that up until the 1 o'clock and ask any questions you have if you need a replacement for Chris Olave, who is all of a sudden pulling up a little bit lame in pregame workouts, I guess, warm-ups. Why am I saying workouts? Another question from Matt LeBlanc. Will Jalen Carter get more snaps with Fletcher Cox out? Should he start him, or I assume that's Justin Simmons? I think Carter's role is probably still as locked in as it was. I don't think Cox's absence changes all that much. Maybe that's wrong. I haven't totally watched a ton of the Eagles this year. I've just been more or less following the stats. So maybe one of you guys can lend some more insight into that. But Jalen Carter or Justin Simmons, first game back for Justin Simmons as well. Grant, I'll go to you first.
Let me take a look.
I'll go to Sean first. While you pull it up.
Is this supposed to be Jeffrey Simmons? If this is a defensive tackle,
that's what I wasn't sure. Is it that that probably makes more sense. Let's assume it's Jeffrey Simmons. Let's go with that one.
I am a huge Jeffrey Simmons fan. I wonder though if this game with Jalen Carter and having Aaron Donald involved as well, if that will elevate his game and kind of have this duel of the defensive tackles here. But I think I would go with Simmons. But I do want to keep an eye on that game, see how he responds.
Yeah, and Mark did confirm that it is indeed Jeffrey Simmons instead of Jalen Carter, instead of Justin Simmons, so Jeffrey. Ricky, which DT are you taking?
I'm going to run with Jeff Simmons on this one. Like Jalen Carter is doing an incredible job from a pressures perspective. It's only translated, I believe, to 1 sack at this point in time. I mean, his pressure rate of nearly 20% is just absolutely phenomenal for a defensive tackle. But right now, I'm still going to run with Simmons because Simmons is translating it more to actually production.
Yep, I agree with that. I know it's been a little bit up and down with Simmons, but that's what you expect from defensive tackles to an extent. And the same can be said of Jalen Carter. So I'm going to take that juicy matchup against the Colts, especially with Jonathan Taylor back. Even more run game. Grant, what about you?
Yeah, I'm staying with Simmons as well. So
yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind, the Colts interior line is has struggled somewhat as well, and so that should be a good play for Simmons as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're all in agreement there. This is a bit of a follow-up on our last one, but Drew saying Juicy Van Ginkel against Danny Nichols. I just like saying that out loud, which is the only reason I'm really pulling up on the screen here, Drew. Well said and well eloquently put. You're a poet, my man. Alonzo Jones with a question here. Needs picking three of Denzel Perriman, first game back. Josie Jewell, first game back. Pete Werner, Kazir White, and Bobby Okereke. Strong options, 100% snap types of guys. It's a difficult one to pick here. I guess we're really picking. Yeah, pick three is probably the easiest way to do this. So
really, we need to pick one to sit, right?
Is it? Well, that's what I almost thought for a second. There's 5 names though.
Okay.
Yeah,
I changed the math in Canton, Ohio is a little bit different. Apparently, when there's 5 names, they count 4. Apparently.
Yeah.
Red's still warm. We're good. Ricky, pick 3 here.
After that smart aleck comment, okay, I got to go first. So based on what we talked about earlier, I'm going to pull Perryman out because we're just not sure what's going to happen on the Houston side of things. Okereke, for all the snaps he's gotten, man, he's missed some tackles too. Holy cow. He cost me a victory by not getting that tackle for loss late in the game when Seattle was running the clock out last week. So I'm angry with him for that. I'm going to pull him off the list. He'd be last on my list.
We're unbiased analysis here on the IDP Guys.
Yeah, exactly. No,
no grudges here.
No grudges held, totally unbiased. But in all seriousness, though, Jewell, Werner, and White for Arizona. Those are my 3 this week. Out of those.
Sean, pick your 3.
So we actually have several bad matchups here with Jewell and White and Okereke. I'm not trusting Jewell. He has let me down all season. That Broncos linebacking core has not produced the numbers we're used to seeing. So I'm staying away from Jewell. I do like Pete Werner. Okereke, I think I'm going to roll with him and Kazir White. I think it's the 3 I'm going to go with.
Before I go to Grant and myself, we do have a little update in here. Saquon Barkley officially inactive today against the Dolphins. Matt Breida will be a go again for the ugliest backfield in the NFL at the moment. So, Grant, pick your trio here of these linebackers.
I'm going Pete Werner, Kazir White. After that, I'm not 100% sure whether I would be feeling good about starting Okereke or Perriman, honestly. But if I had to flip a coin, I think I'm going to Okereke.
You were so close to having it right, Grant.
I really don't like Okereke this week. I don't know. I'm feeling as burnt as, not that I have him in a ton of leagues. It's not the personal type of burnt, but I feel like he has been just a colossal flop of a signing so far for the New York Giants, and what he's supposed to be doing, he is not. So I'm going to go Perriman. I'm going to say that he does get that roll back immediately. It's certainly the riskiest of this bunch, in my opinion, but he has the best matchup, and I do think he walks back into that role. So I'm going to go Denzel Perriman. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Michael. Christian Harris is declared inactive this week, surprisingly.
Whoa, okay. Well, Denzel Perriman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot more confidence for Henry Toto. And like we mentioned on the IDP Guys newsletter, which you could subscribe to with the links in our socials, I talked a couple weeks ago about how Christian Harris is a flash in the pan, not going to happen, but Henry Toto just might be. So I'm going to go Denzel Perriman with more confidence now. I'll go Pete Werner and Kazir White. don't. I like Jewel, but I need to see it first. And Okereke has been very disappointing in my eyes.
Yeah, with this news, I would take out Jewel from my list and put Perryman in with this news. And Jameer Gibbs officially inactive, OBJ active, Amon-Ra inactive, just to be clear.
And we got Josh Reynolds and James Williams suiting up for the Lions today. Josh Reynolds should be a very solid start for fantasy once more. He's been quietly incredibly productive this season. So, yeah, Josh Reynolds, good name to know here. And, keep on asking those questions as we get these inactives coming in. Chris Olave potentially being out right now, OBJ being in, and we just talked about before, Amon-Ra being out as well.
Also, hot off the press, Jalen Phillips is inactive. He is not playing.
Man. Okay, well, that changes the answer before, I suppose. You can play Van Ginkel with some more confidence. And again, toss those questions back out here if you guys need them, because a lot of questionable decisions this week on who was going to be able to suit up. We're getting some clarity just now, so be sure to toss those questions in. We're going to try to get through as many as we can right now. But fantasy break, and thank you, Ricky, for calling these out, because for some reason they're not popping up on Twitter. But fantasy breakout with the question here, playing against Fields and Moore, so he's got to be swinging for upside here. Chris Jones, Jeffrey Simmons, Sam Hubbard, Montez Sweat. I'm not exactly sure who we're picking here.
It won't be Montez Sweat.
That'd be Josh Sweat.
Thursday.
I'm trying to assume we're picking one. I don't know if we're picking one or picking two. I say for safety, let's just say we're picking two for each. So I'm gonna start off here, and I'll say I'm playing Chris Jones and Montez Sweat. I'm gonna ride the Montez. Wait, Montez Sweat just
Josh. Yeah,
Josh Sweat makes more sense. That's why I sometimes need to talk it through. I'll play Josh Sweat too, though. Odd hand, I'm willing to ride that. Chris Jones and Josh Sweat for me, but good options, all of them. I do like Sam Hubbard this week.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on this one, Mike. Going Josh Sweat and Chris Jones as well.
What about you, Sean?
I'm with you on Chris Jones, but I think I'm leaning Hubbard this week over Sweat.
I don't hate that at all. I like Hubbard this week quite a lot against Arizona. What about you, Ricky?
There's some really good options here. So I think we're all unanimous on Jones. And like we talked about earlier, I love Simmons against that Colts offensive line, that running game. So sorry to make it difficult for you, fantasy breakout, but I'm going Jones and Simmons.
Well, let's see if we can make it a little bit easier with the DB question here. Is again, let's pick two. Kyle Hamilton, Reed Blankenship, I'm assuming this Amani Hooker, and Kyle Duggar. I'm going to go with, this is difficult because the first three names are the choices here for me. I think Hooker has a good week. I think he gets at least 7 tackles. But Reed Blankenship's a lock for me. Reed Blankenship and Hamilton for me. I think Hamilton has such high upside because we're swinging for upside on this pick, remember? So I think Hamilton has crazy upside against Kenny Pickett this week. Grant, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, I don't like Amani Hook. I do like him, but I don't like him against Indianapolis because I honestly don't think they'll be throwing the ball as much with JT coming back. Hamilton, I like him. So I'm starting Hamilton here. Blankenship or Duggar? Man, I am not.
Kyle Duggar is so hard to trust right now.
Yeah,
he's got the better matchup between the two, though.
He does have the better matchup.
It's been tough. It's been tough matchups the last 2 weeks for Reed Blankenship. He still put up plenty of numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well.
Yeah, and the Rams are going to come out throwing the ball. Let's be honest. So
and the game throwing the ball as well.
Yeah, and I think so. I think I will go Blankenship just because of their matchup.
Sean.
I'll take Blankenship, and I'm going to trust Duggar this week.
You're bold and spicy this week. Good for you.
Listen,
this is an upside question. If any of these guys are going to get a pick six or a pick, if it's not Amani Hooker, it's probably Kyle Duggar. So definitely understand swinging for the fences with Kyle Duggar. Ricky, pick your pair of DBs.
I'm going to go with Blankenship and Duggar as well.
All right. So there we go. Most not quite unanimous, but
Now I know I got it right.
strong on Hamilton.
You're learning, Sean. Hey, a couple more. Micah McFadden is inactive. Deion Jones and Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods was expected, inactive. Matt Judon, for some crazy reason, the Patriots didn't put him on injured reserve, which is keeping me from putting him on injured reserve, which is annoying me. And so he's obviously inactive. And the Saints inactives came out, and Olave is not on the inactive list.
Okay. Oh boy, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a fun potential 0
So
or 30.
Yeah, he's going to play 3 plays or go off, like you say.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun for people to work out. I can't wait for that. Question from Drew here: Alex Anzalone or Henry's tutus? Which Henry Toto? I can never ever play Alex Anzalone. It just hurts my soul to put him in a lineup, and I still think Toto is going to get 85% snaps at a minimum. So I'm going to go Henry Toto here, but maybe I'm too burnt by just our emotional disdain for Alex Anzalone in the IDP community. Sean, which one are you taking here?
I'm with you. It's Henry Toa. They got a good matchup. Yeah, he's a smash play this week.
Yeah, it's a really good matchup. Ricky.
I'm going with Toto as well. What's interesting is Tom Kislingberry had an article where he talked about the fact that Alex Anzalone has a 7% tackle rate for tied to snaps played, where all other linebackers average around 14%. So even if he's playing 100% of the snaps, it's like he's playing 50% of the snaps.
They spent a first-round pick on a linebacker. Why isn't he playing over him? It doesn't make Grant. Just go with your pick here. This is frustrating as hell for me.
I'm agreeing with all three of you on this with not Anzalone.
I would be, and Drew, as a side note, I'd be trying to trade Anzalone. He plays 100% of the snaps. He's keeping the first round rookie off the field. I'd be playing all those angles and trying to get something for him.
Yeah, do your best to get a fourth for him, and you can easily draft another linebacker as a result. And nothing that happened this morning, which starts it show we're not going to talk about now, but another reason you should check in with the IDP Guys Waiver Wire show, 2 p.m. EST on Tuesday live. Matt Milano left this morning's game with a air cast, serious injury. It looks like Dorian Williams looking like the fill-in, so certainly going to be a hot name on waivers with news we're talking about here. So Willpower, we got about 12 minutes to go, so we're going to try to hit as many questions as possible as all this information is rolling in. Well, we did actually answer this now with the current situation. So another one from Willpower, CJ Stroud or Matt Stafford? I will not bench Matt Stafford for many quarterbacks this week. Love him against Philadelphia. Love him with Cooper Kupp back. He's in my DFS lineup because I think he has a top 3 ceiling. So I'm going Matt Stafford pretty strongly on this one. But Grant, what about you?
I think I do like Matt Stafford here as well with Cooper Kupp's return. And I mean, we've seen what he's done with Puka and Tutu Atwell. So it's not going to change.
Yeah, if anything, it gets better. I think that's always the important thing, right? Is that they're not subtracting one to get Kupp back. They're adding him into the bunch that has already provided some good fantasy points this year. Ricky, pick your quarterback.
Hey, who did Houston beat last week, Michael?
Some college football team. I don't think I recall. It looked like Iowa or Illinois or something.
And I think during the show last week, I had this thing come through that Houston was going to beat Pittsburgh. Houston is going to beat Atlanta again. They're going to drub them, sort of like what happened with Houston and Pittsburgh last week. Stroud is going to throw for over 300 with 2 touchdowns. And so
he has looked so good this year.
One for Tank and one for Dalton Schultz. Okay, so take that to Vegas, folks. And so as you can tell, I'm running with Stroud on this one over Stafford.
You're going for a Dalton Schultz touchdown. That one catch, 10 yards and a touchdown, that marks him as the tight end 3 on the week.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, Dalton Schultz back on the radar, back to the week's touchdown corner Ricky. But I have one more person here. Sean, pick your quarterback.
I think I'm leaning Stroud here as well. I do think the touchdowns go to Nico Collins instead of those other guys, but yeah, he's been fantastic. No interceptions this year. Uh, Easier defense to play against. I'm taking Stroud.
Fair enough. Yeah. So we got an even split here. So pick your side to ride with here. So another question coming in here from B. Blair. Needs to start one linebacker and one flex IDP. His options are Nick Bolton. Obviously, Jalen Phillips is now out, so we don't have to worry about him. Denzel Perriman, Cam Bynum, Kyle Hamilton. So picking two of that star-studded group. Man, that is difficult. Nick Bolton, I think, is our kind of unanimous slot for that linebacker pick, but who's going to be flexed between Perriman, Bynum, and Hamilton? Ricky, I'll go to you first.
Well, I don't know if we're so unanimous on Bolton.
Oh,
for the record.
I apologize that I forgot you're a Bolton hater.
I'm not a hater. Just have some concerns for this week. I'm going Perryman. I am going to go Perryman and Bolton on this one.
The Christian Harrison active does provide a lot more confidence for Denzel this week. Grant, what about you?
Well, is he in need of some points here, or?
That is a good question to ask. If we're talking about floor versus ceiling here, let's assume he didn't go against DJ Moore because most people have been throwing that in at the end of their question.
Let's see here. I kind of like Bynum against KC because they are going to throw the ball. It's not going to be that deep of passing, and it's going to be a high-scoring game between the two offenses. So I think I like Bynum here.
All right. What about you, Sean?
I'm with Grant here. I like Bolton and Bynum. I just don't trust Hamilton to blow up for 3 tackles every week. He did nothing before that, so I'm not buying into that one game.
I trust him to do it against the Steelers and that college football team I mentioned before, but
I don't think he'll have to. I think the linebackers will eat.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna meet Ricky halfway here, and I'm gonna play Bolton and Perriman. I'm not going to play Bynum. I actually don't love the KC matchup just because of what I said before about KC being unable to push the ball to its receivers, which I think is hurting the secondary play of its opposing IDPs. And I love the matchup for Perriman, and I won't be benching Bolton. So that's where I lean there. Let me get to another question in here from Matthew Poskus. Would you play Logan Wilson, Robert Spillane, 200% players? I'm locking in Logan Wilson as much as both these guys are not arguably, they are like my guys for me, so I love them both. But I'm going to go Logan Wilson personally. I think he just provides a higher ceiling with what he can do in coverage. But I see you not along there, Ricky. Is that what you're thinking too?
I'm on board with Logan Wilson. It's pretty close, but Wilson's the play here.
All right, Grant.
Yep, same. Taking Wilson over Spillane.
And Sean.
I'm taking Spillane.
All right, fair enough. Take the thumper of Robert Spillane. So another question from Plus. Just picking between the Viking safeties, Cam Bynum and Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith coming off the career high 3 sacks last week and a monster performance of one of the best fantasy performances, not just IDP, of the season. So are you riding that hot hand? Or are you going back to Bynum? So which one are you picking here? Sean, I'll start with you this time.
I'm going to stick with Bynum. He's got the floor. I can't count on Harrison Smith to go off. Not at his age. He's probably still recovering. Give me Bynum.
A lot of snaps last week.
Wow. That age thing hurts in general, by the way, as a side note for the old guy in this panel here. But look, you take out the 3 sacks that Smith got last week, and he really hasn't done much this year at all. I see this as last week as an outlier game. I'm going to roll with Bynum as well.
Yep, I'm going to make that same choice.
And I'll make it unanimous. I'll go with Bynum as well. I like Harrison Smith, but it's going to be a lot more hit or miss this year than it has been in past seasons after what we've been able to see. And the 3 safety utilize, it's not just Bynum and Harrison Smith. Josh Metellus is getting a lot of usage last year that they weren't using without Brian Flores last year. So, Rich Malone with a very important statement. Devon Witherspoon for president. Yes, we are all pro Devon Witherspoon for president, and he's looking like a true IDP star after he comes back from his bye week, which is why we don't like bye weeks, because we don't get to watch Devon Witherspoon. From Brittany Foxworth, our amazing Foxworth 07. Question from Twitter, Aziz. It seems this is Aziz Al-Shair or Caden Ellis. So two somewhat similar types of guys of 100% snaps. But which one are you going to go with? Sean, do you have a take as I quickly remind myself of the matchups here?
So Ellis was a little bit disappointing with Nate Landman coming in, kind of stealing all the tackles. I think I'm going to go with Aziz on this just for the bigger plays against the rookie quarterback. I think he'll get some kind of turnover here with a handful of tackles.
Ricky, what about you?
Man, both of these are linebacker 3 types. Neither one has hit my expectations this year. I'm going to roll with just pure gut on this one. Is Caden Ellis on this one?
Grant.
I was going to roll with Aziz on this one. Just with the matchup, I think Indianapolis will be running the ball a little bit more. So he does have that little bit of an upside against the run. I don't know if I like the Caden Ellis matchup with Houston because they will be throwing the ball.
And I'm going to sit somewhat on the fence here and agree with everyone here. But listen, I'll go with Ellis in a scoring format that rewards sacks at 5 or more. I will go with Aziz in 3 or 4 or less for sacks with Al-Shair. Just because Caden Ellis has used a lot of rushing the passer, I think he has a higher chance of getting that sack, and they both have similar tackle floors. So I'm not worried about the Nathan Landman thing last week. I think that was just a result of the Falcons being in London and having a very weird game. I think it's going to be a lot more successful this time around against Houston. But yeah, so that's where I lean here. Pretty split, good options either way. Willpower, yes, you did beat us to Jalen Phillips inactive. I got to be better on that, or maybe we just got to have a Twitter, just a comment feed of Willpower. Might be a good thing to consider. Duggar, Bynum, Blankenship. Pick one of the 3-4 Willpower here. I assume it's one of the 3. Bynum and Blankenship is really the choice for me here. I'm going to go Blankenship. I like the matchup just a little bit more. But we only got a few minutes left, so does anyone have a different answer? Nope. Blankenship it is. We're running with Reed.
I have to go with it. I'm sticking with my Blanky. I'm going with Blankenship. That's why I had to get that out.
Listen, Brittany, if you're still watching, I would love to see a graphic like that because that is amazing. That's a great little Ricky tugged up. Okay, questions. Andrew, which linebacker star, Denzel Perriman or Nick Bolton? That seems to be every single question this week. Honestly, it's kind of crazy. But and which 2 defensive ends between Reddick, Nick Bonito, Samson Ibukum, Dayo Odeyingbo, and George Karlaftis? So I'm going to go right off the bat here and say I'm going to go with Bolton and Benito. Bolton, Benito, and Reddick. I'll go with. Sean, what about you?
I'll take Bolton, Benito, and Odeyingbo.
All right. He had a strong week last week. Ricky.
Sean was 2/3 right. He is absolutely correct with Benito and Odeyingbo, particularly with Kwity Payout. But I'm going Perriman over Bolton, guys.
I really need Nick Bolton to get 25 tackles this week now. I really do. But, Grant.
I like Bolton, Benito, and probably Odeyingbo. Excuse my pronunciation. I am not good with names. So yeah, those are my 3.
Well, we will throw it out here that Richard Malone is saying this is going to be the week that Jack Campbell breaks through. He was on the Devon Witherspoon hype train last week, and he also is against the Nick Bolton train. So he's on your side here, Ricky. You got another Ricky. You got Richard here with Ricky here. So
Richard, you're it's not a burner account. Richard Malone, you're clearly a smart young man.
And we have an important question in here because of the Chris Olave situation. Like we said before, active, but we saw him limping around in the pregame warmup. So Olave or Puka in half PPR, he switched it out Puka for Brees, but now he might put him back in for Olave, and I would do that. I would.
Yeah.
I have total confidence in Puka this week. I saw Sean nod along with me. I saw Grant nod along to me, and now I'm seeing Ricky nod along. Are you agreeing?
Yeah, I am. And the other thing you have is that you got Derek Carr with the AC sprain. Granted, he's supposed to be a little bit better. Then you got the Olave ankle. I'm putting Puka in. From a risk mitigation perspective, I'll go with Puka on that.
I'm concerned about Carr's shoulder, like aside from this whole ankle possibility. So I think that's a great point that you're bringing up as well. And it's not an easy matchup either. I mean, New England might not have Judon and Gonzalez, but that is a very deep defensive team. Well, yeah, that's all the questions we got here, though. So we wrapped up exactly at the hour mark, which is perfect because we all have to make adjustments with Chris Olave in half of our lineups, right, everybody? So thank you all for tuning in. And thank you to my amazing panel for joining me on this lovely Sunday morning. Grant, you want to give a little sign off for yourself?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Grant_Gillen. You can also find all my work on YouTube. I don't usually show my face too much, but
and what a handsome face it is.
Oh, thank you.
Ricky.
That was too easy. I'm gonna let that one go. I'm at Ricky Rod 66, but please check us out at idpguys.org. We have some great stuff. Michael, you want to tell them about the special as we're wrapping up, by the way?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned it. So everybody, we are giving off 20% for our season-long sales right now, I believe, using the code WAT2024. Use code WAT2024 to get 20% off season-long memberships. It is a long season to go, people, and we are trying to help you guys make the playoff push by access with our Discord, where you can ask us 24/7 your questions for the week, offense or defense, tools with snap counts and injury trackers and weekly finishes and all that good stuff, and obviously our articles and rankings and IDP and ADP and everything that you could possibly want to win your league. So be sure to sign up. Use code WAT2024 to get 20% off season-long memberships only, or sign up for a month or sign up for a year. We'd love to have you. I need a vacation. Give a little goodbye to the folks here.
Yeah, you can find me on the Twitter at Sean8386. I'm usually hiding somewhere in the Discord chat as well, helping out with start sits throughout the week, injuries, trades, anything you need help with. Come join us.
Yes, sir. And you can find me at Michael__Scully on Twitter. It's where I put out a lot of my stuff, do IDP prop picks, do our IDP Guys newsletter, which link to sign up is both in the IDP Guys description as well as my own. So be sure to do all of that. And thank you all for tuning in to the week 5 Start Sit show with the IDP Guys with myself, Grant, Sean, and Ricky here. I want to wish you guys all the best of luck for week 5 and good luck going forward. We'll see you guys next Sunday for another episode of the IDP Guys Start Sit show. Have a good day. Have a good week.